Or by the host and does not reflect the opinion of FM 96.5 News Talk WDBO. Thanks for listening to WDBO's Ask the Experts Weekend. Our experts are ready to answer your questions and help you out. Ask the Experts Weekend on FM 96.5 News Talk WDBO.
And welcome to the show that debuted last week. This is Ask the Doctor, brought to you through the facilities and the phenomenal medical personnel of the Florida Hospital Group throughout Central Florida. There are medical facilities to serve you, and each and every Sunday they bring a medical practitioner to the airwaves of FM 96.5 WDBO, and we welcome your phone calls at 800-329-5858 or the all-new 407 number. Write this down, get it into your phone, 407-297-9696. That's 407-297-9696. We are very pleased to have with us today Dr. Maryam Kashi, like Kashi Foods. I anticipate that's going to come up in the show at some point. And she is operating here in the Central Florida area, or working in the Central Florida area. Dr. Kashi, what is your specialty?
Gastroenterology.
Okay, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I did my medicine training at Nova Southeastern University in Fort Lauderdale. I then did my internal medicine residency at Johns Hopkins Sinai program in Baltimore, Maryland. I later went to San Antonio, where I did my gastroenterology fellowship with University of Texas Health Science Center in San Antonio.
Wow. And where did you call home when you were growing up?
Miami. I actually grew up in Miami.
So you're a Florida girl.
I am. I'm back home now. That's good.
Back home here in Orlando. And how long have you been serving in the Florida Hospital Group?
Almost 2 years now.
All right. Very, very good. And we're talking, your title is a gastroenterologist, right?
Yep.
Pretty good for a radio guy. Not too bad. All right. Now tell us a little bit about that practice. What interested you in that when you started medical school, that's the direction you took?
Well, I always say that that's the stuff that made the most sense to me. But I think it's also the field where it relates to most people. Most people have some sort of GI upset, heartburn, belly pain. Most people can relate to our specialty, that they've had some of our symptoms throughout their lives.
It seems like, and that seems to be a growing trend, if you watch the television and you watch the over-the-counter, types of medicines and the types of things, it seems like almost half of them are about queasy stomach, not feeling good, new supplements that you can take with your diet for the right kinds of bacteria in your system. It just seems like we're all suffering from that. Is that part of our society? What we eat, what we do?
Well, I think it certainly is a lot of our diet related. Symptoms are related to our diet, but I think a lot of advertising and money goes into those supplements. It's become a huge business, and so I think that's a big part of why we see so much of it these days.
Are we, and I know you can't say specifically on products, but are we as the general population wasting a lot of money on things that if we just had a proper diagnosis from someone such as yourself, that we wouldn't need to be spending that money?
Personally, I do feel very strongly that, yes, we are. I think we spend too much money in this country on things that are natural medicines and that are not FDA approved. I am a strong proponent of practicing medicine and taking medicines that are clinically based and evidence-based. And I think that too many of those supplements that you buy at these local food stores are not, there is no money where their mouth is. Mm-hmm. And so they need to put data and money to obtain data before they make great claims.
Do you find that oftentimes, a majority of the time, a patient may come to you and they said, well, I've really suffered from this since I was in my teens. I really didn't give it a second thought, but now it's advanced to a place where I think I need some medical help, and it's actually gone too far?
Yes, we do see that often. A lot of times our patients are taking some supplements that may be causing some of their symptoms, and they don't even realize that.
Oh.
Sometimes our patients who complain about diarrhea, they are taking over-the-counter zinc and magnesium because they think they need extra vitamins. Really, they should be getting if they have a normal diet, they should be obtaining all of those things sufficiently in their diet. But when you take supplements, they may actually cause some side effects.
All right, very good. We have calls coming in right now to 800-329-5858. That is 800-329-5858. Or the all-new 407 number, that's 407-297-9696. Again, we want to remind you that the program is being brought to you through the auspices of Florida Hospital, and they do have facilities throughout Central Florida to help you no matter what the malady. So let's go to our lineup of questions. How common is colon cancer?
Colon cancer is the second leading cause of death, cancer death in the United States. When you look at all cancer deaths in this country, it actually composes 9% of all cancer deaths. Around the world, the highest incidence rates for colon cancer are found in Australia, New Zealand, Europe, and North America. The lowest rates seem to be in Africa and South Asia. And a lot of this has probably to do a great deal with genetics, but also environmental factors. The good news is that the incidence and mortality in the United States has actually decreased about 2 to 3% per year over the past 15 years. The bad news is that we still have almost 150,000 new cases per year. About 100,000 of these are colon cancers, and about the rest are 40 to 50,000 are rectal cancers.
Now, when we talk about a decreasing number of the population, is that through proper screening, through education?
Yes, absolutely. I think that we have better detection methods. We have increased our screening methods. We used to previously only screen with stool occult bloods and maybe flexible sigmoidoscopies, but now we as a nation have espoused colonoscopies as the primary screening method. And I think that these have significantly impacted greatly on our cancer rates decreasing.
As a doctor, when you're sitting with your peers and you all are talking about medical science as a whole, do you sometimes come down to the common denominator that people in the United States are pretty doggone uptight when it comes to discussing functions of their body? I mean, we got talk shows that talk about everything in the world, but they don't talk about the importance of health when it comes to the colon and related, parts of the body. Is, oh, no, we don't talk about that. Well, if we don't talk about it, how are we going to educate our youngsters as to what tests they should be taking?
Well, I have a biased view and I have a biased patient base. So everyone who comes to talk to me, we talk about poop all day long.
Yeah, there you go.
And there's nothing to be shy about in our office, because that's what we do. That's all we talk about is their bowel habits and their embarrassing moments, but they're not embarrassing in the office. So it's normal for us. And so the patients are very comforted by that because we're not going, oh my gosh, what did she just say? So it's very normal. And so I think patients feel comfortable when they come.
But as a society, is the taboo of talking about it actually causing harm with people that don't get checked in time or are uncomfortable to talk about it with their friends or their primary care physician? I
think so. I think that sometimes when patients have significant symptoms that have been bothering them, they are embarrassed about it. And it takes them several times to go to their primary before they finally decide that they're going to speak about it. And sometimes they have a spouse who is very helpful. That's why I always think it's very nice when someone comes in with either their husband or their wife who just sort of nudges them along and says, well, what about this? You forgot to tell her about so-and-so. And sometimes it's children. Their children come in and they say, well, you were telling me about some blood in your stool and maybe you want to mention that. And so sometimes it's helpful when you bring someone else with you.
Eric in Winter Garden, what is your question for our doctor of the day? And that is Dr. Maryam Kashi. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, good morning, doctor. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure.
I go to a natural healing doctor, and they recommend that I take foot detoxes several times a month where they analyze the water once it comes, you know what I mean, the water that my feet are sitting in, and they say that have quite a lot of toxins and parasites in there, and they tell me to take like oregano pills. They have a lot of supplements that they analyze the water, and they say, well, I think you should take some oregano pills after every meal for a couple months, and then they redo you again, and they analyze that, and they say more different types of supplements. Do you believe in the detoxification of the feet in that process, and that you could really analyze it and see what's in your system and what you need to supplement your body with?
Well, to be honest with you, I've never heard of detoxification through the feet. That's an unusual one for me. But if you're concerned about bacterial infections or parasites within your body, within your GI system, I think the best method is to do a stool test. And I'm not familiar with any data that endorses oregano pills. I don't know of any evidence-based information that shows there's any benefit to taking oregano. So I probably would come into a gastroenterologist or your primary care physician and say, well, I'm kind of concerned about some sort of a bacterial infection or parasites, if that's what you're concerned about, and ask them for a stool test.
Okay,
Hey.
doctor, I appreciate it. There are a lot of natural healing doctors out there, or herbologists that they do a lot of foot detox. I see it online, and I just tried to do it, and it feels it's supposed to cleanse your body.
Well, your body has methods of its own for cleansing, or your liver and your kidneys. They're the primary cleansing organs of your body. And if there's something that doesn't belong there, that's their job.
Mm-hmm. In a recent show I did with another gastro doctor, he was talking about, the fact that every 3 to 5 years we pop up with a whole bunch of clinics around town that are bringing in people to, and I forget what the terminology is, but basically it's a cleaning out of the colon with, irrigating it, all the water and everything. And he said, we are supposed to have certain bacteria in there that the body has to preserve itself, and that washes all that out, and that's not a good thing.
No, it's only good if you're going to walk the red carpet the next day. So, I think this concept of colon cleansing came from, the stars before, the red carpet event. They go and they get themselves cleaned out, and they get nice and skinny. They fit into their cute little dresses. But really, your colon is supposed to be an organ of holding stool and bacteria. There is a great benefit to having that. And when you don't have the proper bacteria in there, you're at risk for infections, such as C. difficile. And that can be kind of a difficult, organism to get rid of at times. And so having proper, proper stool and bacteria within your colon is normal and actually good for you. That's what's healthy.
Very good. Now we're going to come back with Bob from Orlando. Bob, you hold on, please. He has a question about hemorrhoids, if we may, and that is coming back. And we'll take your calls, too, at 407-297-9696 or 800-329-5858. You are listening to Ask the Doctor, all brought to you through Florida Hospital, and you're listening to FM 96.5 News Talk WDBO.
What is the 24-hour WDBO Storm Center? When you hear these tones, that means the 24-hour Storm Center has been activated. Our team of weather experts are tracking the storm, so you'll know where the storms are, where they're headed, and how to prepare. WDBO Storm Center is working to keep your family safe. FM 96.5. News Talk WDBO. Depend on it.
Hi, I'm Jenny with Benjamin Franklin Plumbing. You've heard us say, if there's any delay, it's you we pay. But your Benjamin Franklin experience is so much more. When you call to schedule your service, we'll work around your schedule. We have several appointment options, so we'll find one that works best for you. We'll call you when your Benjamin Franklin Plumbing technician is on the way, and we can email a photo so you know who to expect. Your Benjamin Franklin technician will arrive in our warehouse on wheels vehicle, which means all the work will be done then and there. After a thorough examination of the problem, your technician will explain exactly what needs to be done and all of your options. After your service, we'll call you to make sure you're satisfied. It's like a doctor who still makes house calls. And of course, there's never an extra charge for nights or weekend service. So put us to the test. Call us at 407-905-0014 or online at benfranklinplumbingfl.com.
CFC 056690.
March is National Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. Colon cancer is the nation's second leading cause of cancer death, yet most colon cancers are treatable if detected early. Medical experts recommend screening for all men and women over age 50. If you're at high risk, you should probably be screened before age 50. Several colon cancer screening methods are available, including virtual colonoscopy, a less invasive exam than conventional colonoscopy. Talk to your doctor about when you should begin screening and which screening test is best for you. Remember, colon cancer is highly treatable if detected early. Schedule your screening today. For easy-to-understand information on colon cancer and screening tests, visit radiologyinfo.org. That's radiologyinfo, one word, .org. radiologyinfo.org. This health reminder is from the Radiological Society of North America.
Fast, accurate, and dependable traffic every 6 minutes in the morning. Our job is to get you to work on time. Now, on FM 96.5 News Talk WDBO.
Welcome back to the show. We are 7 minutes away from news, weather, and a cold weather forecast at that. And, of course, traffic throughout Central Florida right here on FM 96.5. News Talk WDBO. Calls coming in to 407-297-9696 or 800-329-5858. Bob in Orlando, thank you for holding. What's your question for Dr. Kashi?
Hi there. Afternoon. Thanks for taking my call. I had colonoscopy 2 weeks ago. Doctor said that there is a hemorrhoid moderate to minimum size, and he recommended for either one of the treatment, either stacking or something that infrared. I'm not sure which one to go for. This is an internal hemorrhoid. I would appreciate if you could recommend me which one would be better comparing both.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what it is exactly that you are recommended to have.
He's planning to go for that the banding, rubber banding, or whatever he said.
I see. Well, have you been having significant problems from these hemorrhoids? Have you had bleeding issues from them?
Yes, that was the reason I went to the doctor. For the past 3 months, I had blood on my stool.
I see. And has it been significant enough where you've received blood transfusions?
I'm sorry, I didn't get you.
Have you required a blood transfusion because you lost so much blood?
No.
You haven't. And has it been just spotting of blood, or has it been a significant bleed?
It was just spotted, 1 or 2 drops.
Oh, 1 or 2 drops. Well, to be honest with you, I am more conservative than that. So if my patient having minimal to moderately sized hemorrhoids is very, very common. And unless the hemorrhoids are a big concern, unless you're bleeding all the time, they're very sensitive and delicate, or so significant that you require a blood transfusion because you lose so much, I don't really recommend doing very much for them except for high fiber diet and maybe a stool softener. And that's usually my recommendation. And only in patients who have significant issues with bleeding do I refer them to have some sort of a banding procedure performed. So I would initially do a high fiber diet. You can Google that on the internet. You can also take fiber supplements with Metamucil or Citracel, but also buy a stool softener, and those are over the counter.
I started using this Metamucil, then after that, for the past 2 weeks, I don't see blood at all.
Yes, I think that's best. I think conservative management is probably best in your case. So I would continue a high fiber diet and continue stool softeners as needed, and maybe hold off on doing any kind of a invasive procedure like banding, unless your bleeding becomes more significant.
Okay, got you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Bob. More calls coming in. If you would like, please join the show at 407-297-9696 or 800-329-5858. That's 800-329-5858. How does colon cancer form?
Colon cancer, we believe, forms from a transition of polyps. Polyps can come in two forms in the colon. They're hyperplastic or they're adenomatous, usually. And it's these adenomatous polyps that may transition or change and progress to what we call dysplasia. Dysplasia is this advancement of change. And if it continues to change in advance, this tissue can then become cancerous. So our goal in colonoscopies and for colon cancer screening is not just to look for cancer in you. It's not that we suspect patients have cancer. We also want to prevent it. So it's really a preventative procedure where if something might turn into cancer in your future, then we'd like to remove it. And that's what we do by removing these polyps. Most these adenomatous polyps are most common in men, and their prevalence increases with age. The larger a polyp is, the more likely that it will progress to cancer. So, and this progression from a small adenomatous polyp to dysplasia to cancer, we believe takes about 10 years. That's why if you don't have any polyps on your first colonoscopy, we give you a 10-year break.
Oh, okay. How about websites and phone numbers to reach Florida Hospital, and in particular yourself?
Our office phone number is 407-303-1812, and our website is floridahospital.com.
All right, floridahospital.com. And again, we've got about a minute and a half, so let me ask you number 3. What are screening tests are available instead of a colonoscopy, and how good are they?
Well, there are many screening tests available. Everyone is very familiar with the fecal occult blood test. That's where you give your physician's office a sample of your stool, and they test for blood. Now, the sensitivity of one of those little guaiac cards is only 30% if you just do one. That's why your primary care physician always gives you 3 cards. So if you do 3 cards, the sensitivity goes up to 92%. The disadvantage of it is that it's looking more for cancer, but we want to prevent. That's why we suggest colonoscopies. Because we can remove the polyps. Other tests include barium enemas, as you heard on the commercial, virtual colonoscopies, but we don't feel that those are as good because they don't detect small polyps. And only colonoscopy can detect small and large polyps and remove them at the same time.
Okay, when we come back, we've got a lot of ground to cover, including who should have a colonoscopy, what are some of the other reasons someone might have a colonoscopy done, and how often do you need a colonoscopy? We're going to come back and talk about those topics as well as your phone calls at 407-297-9696. Don't forget 800-329-5858. We're asking the doctor, Dr. Kashi, our special guest from Florida Hospital, and this is FM 96.5 News Talk, WDBO.
WDBO AM, WDBO FM, Orlando. News on the hour, the half, and when it breaks. FM 96.5 News Talk, WDBO. Depend on it.
He does not have a policy of containing Iran, says President Obama. He has a policy of preventing Iran from getting a nuclear weapon. Mr. Obama reiterated the U.S. commitment to Israel's security this past hour at a conference of the most powerful pro-Israel lobby in Washington.
A nuclear-armed Iran is completely counter to Israel's security interests. But it is also counter to the national security interests of the United States.
Before President Obama spoke, Israeli President Shimon Peres says that Iran is a danger to the entire world and must be stopped.
President Obama made it clear that the United States of America will never permit Iran to become nuclear.
Also this past hour, not a surprise, but Russians government-run TV station says exit polls show that Vladimir Putin has handily won election as Russian president. Total deaths from Friday's twisters have been corrected downward to 37 by emergency officials. Chuck Sievertson, ABC News.
Hear breaking news at the top and bottom of each hour. 24/7, 24/7. Central Florida's news, weather, and traffic station. FM 96.5. News Talk WDBO. Depend on it.
Justice for All with attorney Mark Nation.
You bring back the good reputation of attorneys.
Thank you for the encouraging words.
Justice for All, Saturdays at 1 p.m. on News Talk WDBO.
Colon cancer is the third most common cancer in the United States. And Sunday at noon on WDBO's Ask the Doctor show, Dr. Maryam Kashi, a Florida hospital gastroenterologist, will talk about the latest advancements in treatments and screenings for colon and rectal diseases. She'll also take your calls and questions about detection, screening, and advanced treatments and procedures. Listen, call, and learn. Sunday at noon on WDBO's Ask the Doctor, presented by Florida Hospital.
It's 12:33 now to the WDBO 24-hour Safe Touch Security Team Traffic, and here is Ron Bison.
DOT cameras showing everything looking good on I-4 toll roads. Well, that one problem, debris in the road eastbound 408 between 417 and Dean Road. FHP's on the scene, and they got road barricades up. This report brought to you by Progressive Insurance, introducing the Snapshot Discount from Progressive. How much could the Snapshot Discount save you? Learn more about Progressive's biggest discount yet at Progressive.com. With Team Traffic every 6 minutes in the morning, I'm Ron Bison.
Mostly clear, breezy, and cool tonight across Central Florida. Temperatures dropping back into the 40s by daybreak on your Monday morning. It'll be warmer for the afternoon on Monday. Mostly sunny sky, not as breezy. High temperatures in the low 70s. From WFTV's Severe Weather Center 9 and WDBO, I'm meteorologist Brian Monahan.
No rain at this time on the WDBO weather radar. It's 61 in Tuscaloosa, 60 at FM 96.5 News Talk WDBO.
When the weather turns bad, make sure you turn to us first, the station to depend on for weather warnings first. Now on FM 96.5 News Talk WDBO.
Matters of the body, matters of the colon. That's our topic today on Ask the Doctor, as we bring in medical practitioners every Sunday at 12 noon as part of the Ask the Expert series right here on FM 96.5 News Talk WDBO. Phone numbers are 407-297-9696 or 800-329-5858. Very pleased to have with us Dr. Maryam Kasha, Florida Hospital Orlando and Winter Park Memorial, and here to serve you and take your questions. Today we have talked about the colon cancer. How common is it? How does colon cancer form? So right now let's talk about who should have a colonoscopy.
Well, everyone in this country needs a colonoscopy at some point, but 90% of colorectal cases occur at the age of 50. And so for white Americans, 50 years old is the magic number. So, but in African Americans, they have a 20% higher risk of colorectal cancer, and they have more cases that occur before the age of 50. And so they have a lower age at which would they need to start having colonoscopies. For African Americans, the age to start is 45.
Okay.
This is not commonly known. And I think that we really need to educate our providers as well as our patients that African Americans have a higher risk of colorectal cancer at a younger age, and they have more right-sided lesions. And the reason that's important is because sometimes patients are sent for flexible sigmoidoscopies as their screening test, and that's really not appropriate for African Americans or for women, actually, because women also have more right-sided colon cancer cases. And so for those patients, colonoscopy really is the optimal study to do.
Joan in Orlando, thank you for calling and joining the show. And how can Dr. Kashi help you?
I have a question about some symptoms that I've been having.
Great. Go ahead.
Well, actually, I started feeling uncomfortable probably around 5 months ago. Nothing serious. I'm in excellent health. I'm close to 80, but I have no problems. I'm in excellent health. I started feeling uncomfortable, about a couple months ago under my left rib. I believe when I ate, I would have some pain and a lot of bloating. I went to my doctor, and he's having me tested for gallbladder, which, the gallbladder's on the other side, but I thought, well, maybe the pain travels. I don't know. So I went along with that. That's fine. Now which I haven't gotten those tests back yet. Now I'm noticing that a couple nights ago I wasn't able to sleep because my right groin was hurting, and now it feels as though I have a kidney infection. My back is hurting.
Well, I can address your epigastric left upper quadrant pain, your abdominal pain. Does that you said that occurs worse after you eat? How long after you eat does that pain occur?
I don't know, but it's not very long at all.
So it's about 5 minutes, maybe a couple of seconds?
Oh, no, longer than that.
30 minutes?
Yeah, at least 30 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
less.
Is it worse after eating greasy foods?
I really... I've always been pretty careful about what I eat. I mean, I eat a lot of vegetables and, good food, as little processed as possible. Mm-hmm. So I don't really know.
In that region, I think I would also think about peptic ulcer disease, maybe irritable bowel syndrome as possibilities. I think that a good endoscopy is probably warranted just to take a look and make sure that you don't have any ulcers in that region. Also, they can check your stool to see if there's any blood in it. If you use a lot of aspirin, Advil, ibuprofen type medications, you might put yourself at higher risk for.
I don't usually take anything.
Okay.
And so, what test do you recommend?
If you have persistent pain in the left upper region, then I would consider peptic ulcer disease and possibly an upper endoscopy.
And what about my kidneys now hurting?
I think that I'm a gastroenterologist, so I'm going to defer to your primary care physician for that.
Okay. All right. I'm just, I'm just kind of scared. I mean, I want to get it checked, but I'm kind of scared.
Well, if you feel that you might have a kidney infection, that can become very serious if you don't take care of it early. So you can go to your primary care physician, do a quick urine test, and make sure that you don't have an infection in your urine that may go up to your kidneys and eventually to your bloodstream if it's not taken care of properly.
Oh, okay. Well,
it's a quick, easy test. You can just do a quick urine test with your primary care.
Oh, good. All right. I really appreciate your help.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you so much. If you have a question for Dr. Kashi, it is 407-297-9696. Brand new number, 407 area code, prefix is 297-9696. Remember, we're on 96.5, right? And 800-329-5858. You're listening to FM 96.5 News Talk WDBL. And Dr. Kashi is with us. Let's move on the questions. What are some other reasons that someone might have a colonoscopy done?
Well, other reasons why someone might get a colonoscopy is if they have blood in their stool, either like our first caller who sees blood in his stool, or if someone who does a stool guaiac test with their primary care physician, they may have a change in their bowel habits as well. Patients who are usually regular, but now they've become more constipated or even have more diarrhea than usual, those might be reasons to have a colonoscopy. Sometimes primary care physicians do general blood work and find that patients are anemic and they have no reason to explain their anemia. And so an endoscopy, an upper and lower endoscopy, are usually done for evaluation of iron deficiency anemia. If patients have had a weight loss that they haven't intended to, if they have not been dieting, if they've not had a change in their activity, then unexplained weight loss is always a good reason to do endoscopy. Patients who have unexplained abdominal pain and rectal pain for an extended period of time, they may have a colonoscopy, and certainly patients with a family history of colorectal cancer. If patients have had colon polyps in the past, then they're usually given a time period where they need to repeat their colonoscopy. Mm-hmm. If they've had more than 3 or more polyps that were adenomatous, then they usually get a 3 to 5 year break. It all depends on the size of the polyps and how many polyps there were, and of course the type, which is important.
I guess we have probably a national epidemic of a lot of people who just don't get it done because they've heard stories, or they just say, you know what, if I don't recognize there may be a problem, there won't be a problem. But then it's too late.
Yes, well, that is so true. We actually have almost 50% of people who should be getting colonoscopies in this year are actually, in this country, they're actually not getting done, whether it's for insurance reasons or fear or whatever reason it may be. But 50% is really, I think, unacceptable in this amazing country of ours, for people not to get proper testing. And, I encounter lots of people who finally have made their appointment after years of of thinking about it. And, I always comfort them in letting them know that this is really going to be easy. The easiest part is the colonoscopy portion. The part that they usually dread is the prep. And it's not as bad as it used to be. Our preps have come a long way. And the prep that we usually use is the Miralax prep. But there are Go Lightly preps and Half Lightly preps. There are lots of different preps that you can use. The reason we like the Miralax prep is because it's a very safe method, but also you can flavor it. You can put it in whatever kind of juice that you want. As long as it's a clear liquid, you can put it right in there. People often choose Gatorade or apple juice or grape juice, something that they like to drink. And it's very well tolerated these days.
Yeah, there used to be just so many, I guess urban myths about, I had to sit around for 24 hours. All I could do is drink the stuff I didn't like. And oh my God, spend half my night on a toilet. That's pretty well in the past, isn't it?
Well, no, because we still need to clean the colon out. But you can pretend like you're going to walk the red carpet tomorrow. You're going to be all nice and skinny, and the next day, and your colon's going to be nice and clean. But previously, everyone used to get the Go Lightly prep, and that was a full gallon. But now the preps are much more tolerable. Our Miralax prep is only 2 liters.
Do you find that when you finally give somebody the results of the test that a majority of people just go, I wish I hadn't worried about that so long and just gone ahead and done it?
Yes, actually, it's always right after the colonoscopy. As soon as they wake up, they're shocked, surprised, completely amazed that that's all that was to it. But they come into our office sometimes and they are just so scared because they've heard such terrible horror stories. But it's not as bad as it used to be. The preps are not that bad, and the procedure itself is cake because you sleep during the whole thing and you don't remember it. It's perfect.
Probably like the feeling of freedom after you finally mail off the tax return and you go, well, let's go celebrate. We got that behind us. Literally behind us. We're talking about the other. All right, let's go to Thomas in Winter Park. Thomas, how can we help you, bud?
Hey, Doc, how you doing today?
Good. How are you today? Thank you for calling in.
Fine. About a month and a half ago, I was getting some lower abdominal pain and pelvic pain and pressures and all sorts of spasms. Went into the doctor, and they did some tests, and anything didn't come conclusive on kidney infection or anything like that. Went and got a CT scan. Everything's normal and unremarkable, except a statement on colon diverticulosis was observed with no inflammation. Stools are okay 2 times a day regularly, no problems, no blood. Just the bout of severe abdominal pain and spasms that went away with a month course of Cipro. I know I have to take more fiber, but what else do I have to be concerned with?
Well, diverticulosis is a very common finding, whether it's on colonoscopy or a CT scan. They are outpocketings of the colon mucosa, which is the lining of the colon. And they usually cause no problems at all. You probably will have nothing to worry about. The reason we tell you to have a high-fiber diet is because we don't want you to get any more of them. But most people live their whole lives and never have any complications of these diverticuli. If you do develop a complication, it's usually an infection, a perforation, possibly more complicated, worse complications, I should say, include abscesses or bleeding related to the diverticuli. But you should be fine. I would just recommend a high-fiber diet just so that you don't get any more, but you should be fine.
All right, thank you so much for the call, Thomas. When we come back after the break, Ozzy from Orlando wants to talk about gastritis. Also, the doctor is going to answer this question. Are there any protective foods or medicines against colon cancer? And how often do you need a colonoscopy? That's all coming up after the break. You're listening to Ask the Doctor, a service of Florida Hospital, and you're listening to FM 96.5 News Talk WDBO.
Let's go! The only station in Central Florida that alerts you about severe weather every 90 seconds when you hear these tones. The complete emergency forecast is coming up. FM 96.5 News Talk WDBO. Depend on it.
Robert Vincent Sims, the Garden Rebel, here for Black Cow Composted Cow Manure. If you want a natural, organic way to improve the health and vigor of everything you plant and grow, then you want Black Cow Composted Cow Manure. I recommend Black Cow because it's a terrific organic soil conditioner, vegetable gardens, flower beds, lawns. It's the natural way to improve our sandy Florida soils. Look for the bright yellow and black bag at your garden center. Black Cow.
Black Cow, the mature manure. Black Cow.
Final round time. If two's company and three's a crowd, what's 207?
A bar mitzvah?
Correct. Opportunity never knocks twice. Why not?
It's got sore knuckles?
Correct.
Yes.
How fast does Netflix let you watch TV episodes and movies?
Instantly, through your game console or other devices.
Correct! Watch unlimited TV episodes and movies for only $8 a month from Netflix. See terms of use.
Yeah.
Sir, put your shirt back on.
But I'm excited.
You're scaring the children.
Now is the time to invest in rental property, and you don't have to worry about managing tenants, laws, and rules. Hi, I'm Gail Moncla, President of Rental Home Management Services. I've been helping homeowners get their properties rented in Central Florida for over 20 years. Just listen to Stacy McKay, our Business Development Manager.
I've been working with homeowners who've taken advantage of today's real estate prices and purchased their dream home, keeping their current property as a rental and getting it rented quickly.
Rental Home Management Services provides a stable income from tenants who stay an average of 28 months, saving the property owner and the tenant money. Call Stacy McKay today at 407-261-5610 or visit us at renthomefl.com. That's renthomefl.com. Let us relieve the stress of being an investment homeowner.
Hey, Scott Inez back with an update on our brand new master bathroom, thanks to the good folks at S&W Kitchens. Now, I must tell you, with all that's going on over the holidays, we were a little bit skeptical about undergoing a major construction project. I even had a buddy hear my S&W spot, and he basically told me I was crazy. But I tell you what, S&W has made the process as painless as possible. Now, here's what's happening recently. They yanked the old cabinets, the old mirror, the old shower tile. That was a job, by the way. The new tile in the shower was finished recently. It is absolutely gorgeous. Hard to believe that's our shower. I can't tell you how impressed I am with S&W Kitchens, from the designing with Krista to the planning with Tim and Jim to Josh, who may become part of the family soon, to all the workmanship. The one thing you notice about S&W Kitchens, it's all about quality. More updates to follow. Folks, if you've been thinking about remodeling for the new year, now is a great time. Visit snwkitchens.com or call 407-965-1120. S&W Kitchens.
If it's important to you, chances are you'll hear it here first. Breaking news, weather warnings, and traffic alerts. Central Florida's most important radio station is now on FM 96.5. News Talk WDBO.
And we're talking about everything gastro today with Dr. Maryam Kashi, Florida Hospital Orlando and Winter Park Memorial, all part of the Florida Hospital network of medical practitioners and facilities around Central Florida with one aim in mind, and that is to keep you as healthy as you possibly can be. We're taking phone calls at 407-297-9696. We are 9 minutes away from news, weather, cold weather at that, and traffic. There could be some frosting north of Orlando. And we're taking your calls again at 407-297-9696. Now, Dr. Kashi is ready to take your questions and also to answer those questions we referred to before the break. Right now, let's go to Ozzy in Orlando. Ozzy, what's up?
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Please, my question is this. A couple of months ago, I got an upper abdominal pain, and an endoscopy was done, and it was consistent with gastritis. The gastroenterologist put me on Protonics. He told me to take it until my next visit will be a year from that. I got two quick questions. Is it okay to take Protonics for that long period of time, for a year? And if so, what is the best time to take it? After a meal, before a meal,
Did you have it, by the way, did he tell you that there was a bacteria in your stomach or not?
Ask your question again, Dr. Kashi. I'm sorry.
That's a very good question. Thank you for calling in. Do you remember if he told you if he tested for a bacteria in your stomach along with the gastritis?
Well, I guess we lost the caller.
Oh, well, let me address it anyway. His questions were, is it okay to take Protonics or medications like that for as long as a year? And is there an optimal time of taking them? So, yes, let me address the second one first because it's easier. You should take medications like Protonics, Nexium, the purple pill, things like that, 30 minutes before a meal because they need the food to activate it. So that's the best time period to take them. And is it safe to take it for an extended period of time? We do often recommend patients to take them for long periods of time, but there are some risks associated with doing that. If you take medications of that class, which we call proton pump inhibitors, there is a risk of possible osteoporosis, infections such as pneumonias and a colon infection called C. diff. There are these risks are always quite low. However, we do always inform our patients of these risks just so that they're aware. Now, in our caller's case, he's a man, so I'm really not very concerned about osteoporosis in men because it's a very low risk. But I would caution him against long-term use due to the infectious possibilities. Although, again, very, very low risk.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Kashi. I know you wanted to answer this question before we go to Tom's call up in DeLand. Are there any protective foods or medicines against colon cancer?
Well, the studies have shown that there are some things that we can do to help decrease our risk of colon cancer. Now, I have to say, though, that, of course, this does not mean that by doing these things, you don't need to get screened. So I don't by any means want to persuade someone to not get a colonoscopy for screening purposes. But you may find some protective effects from a diet high in fruits, vegetables, and fiber. If you also decrease the animal fat and red meat in your diet, that may also be protective. Folate as a multivitamin has also found some protective effects, as well as fish and omega-3 fatty acids. Garlic, interestingly, also has some protection against colon cancer, as well as vitamin B6, calcium, and magnesium. There are also some medications that may decrease your risk of colon cancer. These include aspirin and a family called NSAIDs. These are the Advil, ibuprofen type medications. Also, in postmenopausal women, hormonal therapy may also decrease their colon cancer risk, as well as statins and a family of medications called bisphosphonates, and that's a medication used to treat osteoporosis.
All right, boy, a full bank of calls now. Let's go to Tom and DeLand. Tom, your question, please.
Yeah, I have a question. My son has problems, and he stopped taking eating foods or taking anything that had gluten, and that seems to have helped. But then he went in to take a celiac test, and it said that he didn't have celiac. But we wondered if, because he had already come off of gluten, could that have impacted that test?
That's actually a very, very good question. And yes, there are two things related to gluten. There is gluten intolerance and gluten's actual celiac disease. And just because you don't have celiac disease does not mean you're not gluten intolerant. But the test for celiac disease can definitely be altered if you are already on a gluten-free diet. Even a biopsy, the gold standard is to do an upper endoscopy with a biopsy of the small bowel. And even if you do the best test, the biopsy, if you have already been on a gluten-free diet, you may get a false result.
Okay, thank you so much, Tom, for the call. Let's go to Martin. Martin, what is your question, sir?
I'm actually a very healthy person at 64, and the only time I've ever been to the doctors for anything was for physicals, for either being on a sports team or the insurance. But I noticed about 3 or 4 months ago, I was just like, I think I had some vegetarian beans with some brown rice and some tuna, and, normally you would, pass gas, but it seems like I'm constantly now, just kind of like it's like the process of just, passing gas, and it's not like it's, every second. It's just like that it's, can be throughout the day or at night, and it's after a good, bowel movement, it doesn't make any difference. It just keeps, and I'm wondering, is that an indication? Is that a warning sign of something?
Passing gas is not, and passing gas is often related to your diet. There are certain foods that increase your risk or increase your symptom of having flatus or bowel gas, and these include beans, onions, celery, carrots, raisins, bananas, apricots, prunes, Brussels sprouts, wheat germ, and these are the two that always surprised me were pretzels and bagels. So I would take a look at your diet and see if it includes any of these foods, and that may help decrease your gas.
All right, so it's not an indication that I have polyps in the...
No, polyps are asymptomatic, and that means you have no symptoms. And so if you're 64 and have not had a colonoscopy, then you're 14 years late. So hurry up and go get your colonoscopy.
All right, thank you so much, Martin, for that call. And boy, I'd love to hear that list again, because as you were saying it, I think that's 90% of our audience going, excuse me? All right, one more minute. So, Bob, we might have to take you after the show, but hang on to the phone. How about websites and phone numbers once again, Dr. Kashi? And what a pleasure it's been to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. You can find me on a physician search if you go to floridahospital.com, but probably the best method is to just call our office directly at 407-303-1812.
All right, very good. And we have facilities for Florida Hospital throughout Central Florida. Make sure you visit that website so you can check with them. And, always check with a licensed physician before you do anything and before you consult any type of, clinic or health food place. You want to make sure you're doing the right thing. So just, do your homework before you make your move. All righty, there you go. Better smart. It's 12:59 at News Talk. WDBO.
WDBO AM, WDBO FM, Orlando. News on the hour, the half, and when it breaks. FM 96.